Jamie McFadden. He is one of the 3 national coordinators of the Groundswell. So he's going to come up first, just introduce himself, give you a bit of a rundown of the Groundswell. We're then going to have clipping farmer David Ward, followed by Willie Lefrink, followed by Robbie Shepherd, and then we're going to have final at the end. Jamie McFadden's going to come up and read the Groundswell statement. So Jamie, welcome you to the stage.
Yeah, I've just come from Christchurch, so I spoke in Christchurch at 10:30 this morning. They haven't quite got as big a turnout as this, but still a very good turnout, and they've headed on a convoy into the square. So how did I come to be in front of you today? I am chairman of North Canterbury-based Rural Advocacy Network. We're a group of farmers and businesses representing rural communities on a wide range of issues. When Groundswell New Zealand formed late last year, we saw a group with the same concerns as ourselves. I am now a member of Groundswell NZ and one of the 3 national coordinators for the protest today. I am from a sheep and cattle hill country farming background. My brother now runs the family farm. For the past 20 years, my wife and I have run a restoration environmental consultancy business, helping hundreds of landowners protect native bush, restore wetlands and native planting waterways. Utes are an essential part of our business, and our utes have carried hundreds of thousands of native plants out onto farms. In the 1970s, my parents rejected government incentives to clear all the land, instead choosing to protect the extensive areas of native bush. Even though some of our neighbours warned us not to, we allowed DOC staff to survey our native bush. It was a positive experience, and we thought DOC were trying to help us. We were wrong. Over a period of 6 years, DOC and the local council used the survey information to try and capture as much of our land as they could to be designated significant natural areas. I represented our family and we won our case in the Environment Court. Under the various pieces of government legislation, the more we have done to look after the environment, the more we are penalised. We get no carbon credit recognition for all the bush we have protected, and yet land cleared of all native bush can get government incentives to plant pines. Thousands of hectares of unique in the world dryland native shrublands are disappearing under pines incentivised by this government. Government policies have turned conservation into a liability. Does this government really care about the environment? Recent Otago University research quantified what we are seeing here in Canterbury, certainly enough in our area in Chevy at North Canterbury. Traditional family farmers with a strong environmental ethos, overwhelmed by red tape, being replaced in many cases by corporates, overseas investors and carbon pine forests. As the Otago research noted, this societal change being forced by poorly designed government policy could be worse for the environment. Earlier this week I spoke with the West Coast couple, Colin and Juliet Henry. They own 120 hectares and bought it in 1974. The Henrys worked hard to pay for their dream bit of land that one day their children could inherit. Like our family, the Henrys decided at the time not to take the government incentives and drain the wetlands and bush on their land. Recently, their whole farm was designated by the council as a wetland. A real estate agent said the land is now worthless and there is no compensation. How would you feel if your urban section or lifestyle block or farm was zoned in such a way to make it worthless? In the stroke of a bureaucratic pen, the dreams of the Henrys have been destroyed. This is a national disgrace, and under the government environmental policies, thousands of rural and urban landowners will be impacted by this state-sanctioned theft. We can give hundreds more examples like the Henrys. What we have today is environmental legislation that is a mess. There are so many aspects of the freshwater, indigenous biodiversity and climate change policies that are unworkable and actually worse off for the environment. I'm here today because I care about the environment, but I also care about people, about communities and a healthy economy. Today I join thousands of New Zealanders in putting a stake in the ground and saying enough is enough. Thank you.
And just with respect for the local council and the domains, please clean up after them if they do leave a little bit of a mess. And
businessmen, big businessmen, people who have come off the street to support us in the cause of protecting our rights to farm. This statement: New Zealand farmers are one of the world's most efficient producers of food on a carbon emissions basis. We've got to keep that statement in the background. We're very good at what we're doing. The other thing is, we cannot do what we do as farmers well without the support staff. We talk about our workers, we talk about the irrigation companies, the people who make silos, everything. You're one of us. You help us produce this good food for New Zealand people and for the world. The biggest problem we've got, everyone around the world understands how good New Zealand farmers are. They come here to listen, they come here to watch, they come here to learn how to do it well. Yes, we can improve. Farmers have done that all the time. We're good buggers. We can keep doing it and keep changing. But what happens when we come back to New Zealand? That's when we become the political football. Farming in New Zealand is the biggest gig in town. So compared to anywhere else in the world, farming is the biggest emitter of carbon for New Zealand because we are the biggest gig. We don't have a $20 million people city down the world, down below us to take the heat off us. But bring the statement back. One of the most efficient producers of food on a carbon basis. What we need to do is tell Aucklanders that we are very, very good at producing food. They do not understand. We have become a political football, and in a lot of ways it's very mean and not fair for everyone who's wanting to get ahead. Water. New Zealand on the OECD list is at the top of water quality. Okay, we can do better. We will do better, but a lot of these rules and regulations around are making people worse off and not getting on with it. Central water management's not going to work. Zone by zone management works. Everyone has seen the Three Waters ad on the TV where the shower stops when mud comes out of it. To me, that's political propaganda. Our water's not that bad. We can do better as farmers. We're doing it, and we'll do it without the rules and regs put around us and constraints. Yield tax. Well, mean and spiteful, that's all I can say. Picking on a group of people who have to have this vehicle for their use, and it's vacating it to their voter base. It's not fair, and it's not fair on their tradespeople, the people who assist in our business, etc. New Zealand is not like Norway, where they can just put EVs on the road because they have had oil and gas the last 50 years and have got reserves stacked up to do that. New Zealand is a country where we struggle to keep the main south trunk line going. Our roads, we're a country where we have natural disasters. Just imagine if we had EVs when we had the snowstorm here in this mid-Canterbury in 2006, when the power was off for 2 weeks. I guess we'd all have to have a backup generator to charge our EVs like they do in Stewart Island. All these untold regulations and pressure when the rules are changing day by day and flipping are creating an immense amount of stress on farmers mentally, and it is really, really sad when you talk to a lot of consultants who have now grown men crying because they cannot farm properly, they don't know what to do, they are deeply distrustful of what's happening, and this is a real problem. We need to support them. Primarily, arable farming in New Zealand is some of the best in the world. Everything we do is very, very good. We can do better, but not with the rules and regulations that are pushed around us. And this is a real problem.
Southern farmers Bryce McKenzie and Laurie Patterson decided in October last year to take their tractors to Grower in protest over the unworkable freshwater regulations. Little did they know they were starting a nationwide campaign. Following a turnout of 120 tractors in Grower, Groundswell NZ was formed. A meeting at Waimumu of 700 farmers gave Groundswell NZ the confidence to go nationwide. The Otago Southland farmers then joined forces with Canterbury-based Rural Advocacy Network, ourselves, with a speaking tour throughout Canterbury and the West Coast. So enthusiastic were the West Coasters, they immediately formed Groundswell West Coast. While the initial focus was the freshwater regulations, Groundswell New Zealand quickly turned to the issue of significant natural areas, or SNAs. As new legislation was due out this month, our first major action was to call on all landowners to not allow any more surveys on their land. A letter was sent to all councils requesting they halt any current SNA mapping. The new legislation has been delayed until later this year, and many councils have halted their SNA process. Groundswell NZ's main concerns and the focus of this protest are the unworkable environmental policies, freshwater, Indigenous biodiversity SNAs, and climate change. However, in the past 6 months we've become aware of many other issues and costs impacting not only farmers but businesses, urban people and councils. Everyone is feeling overwhelmed with the avalanche of poorly designed policies and the we know best one-size-fits-all mindset of our current government. Groundswell NZ are keen to promote workable solutions, and our leaders are at the forefront of environmental action. Bryce McKenzie is a founding member of the award-winning Pomahaka Water Care Group, which is a blueprint for the future in empowering community and landowner action to address water quality issues. Fellow Howl organiser Jamie McFadden is a leader in the conservation effort in Canterbury, helping hundreds of landowners over the past 20 years to restore and protect native bush, wetlands and streams. From these experiences we know there are far superior solutions to achieving positive environmental outcomes than the current unworkable regulations.
Say wrong words that we can never take back. This is what humans do, regardless of how